Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of your Scottish podcast with myself, Craig, my trusty co-host, Aaron. Aaron, how are you?
But it is what it is in this heat, and working is not for the faint-hearted in this heat.
I know, I know. I was out in the truck and work today, and even that was like, I think at one point the truck read like 30 something degrees. I'm like, nope, I'm done. Just take me home.
It's worse with it. I know a way to do these introductions, but it's worse with it when there's no humidity in the air either.
Yeah, and I'm sure our guest tonight will know all about this for with Wade now. But yes, coming back on, well, onto the first time being on Wrist Locks and Long Talks, but we have spoken to him before. He has wrestled for companies such as, I'm on the wrong page for this. I'm still on the wrong page. There we go. PBW, ICW, W3L, Discovery Wrestling, Pro 2, SWE, Scottish Wrestling Entertainment, Valor, Bleeding Gums, RCW in Canada, and many, many more. He has also held champions such as the SSW Tag Team Championship, WrestleZone Tag Team Championship, ICW Tag Team Championship twice, the W3L Tag Team Championship, W3L Wrestle Showdown Champion. He, if this is right, because it is on Cage Match, he is your current and reigning RCW International Tag Team Champion and your current and reigning RCW Canadian Heavyweight Champion. It's the one, the only. If he is still going by this nickname, I'll be very happy. The Scudmaster Sexy, Krieger.
Hello, thanks for having me. I've not. I think the only time I get called that nickname now is when I do podcasts because it's still on Cage Match.
Fair.
So that's yet again a joke that myself and Luke King Sharp thought was funny. At one point, we thought it was a throwaway joke, which has somehow stuck with me for for about 8 years now. So that was a rib that backfired on myself, to be honest.
No, it is funny, and like it was not even that. Like I was putting it through like the graphic together for to promote that, and my other half's like, "Why sexy crowd?" I went, "Scudmaster sexy," and she went, "Right, okay," and just walked away. I was like, "Finished." So yeah, how
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, all good, all good. Can't complain. Things have been going well. Obviously moved over to Canada, and our flight was at the end of January, so we arrived here 1st of February. Arrived when it was like -30 or something outside, so that was the first couple of months were difficult, but settled in now. Things are going well, so no complaints on my end. Yeah, how are you guys keeping?
Good. Working away, coaching away. Still seeing this barhead. He's below me on the screen, so it's fine.
The side of you on my screen, you dick.
Oh well, you're below me on my screen.
No, Krieger's below me on my screen, my friend.
Oh, fair. But yeah, no, it's good. Keep him plodding along. Try and keep things going as well.
Nothing else for it, mate. Nothing else for it. Taking in different shows as well.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, because you've now seen, what have you now seen? Bleeding Gums,
Yep.
Valor.
Yep.
Who else have you seen?
I don't think I've seen anybody else other than that.
I've
Like,
now
I
seen
wanted to,
Respect.
yes, I wanted to get to that show, but it's the nature of my job. I can't. Whereas this week, yes, it's great. I have a 4 day week. Well, yeah, 3 day week this week, and then I'm off for like 4 days, just the way it's worked. So, the holidays taken, I thought, fuck it, I've got stuff on this weekend. I'm taking the holidays. Why not?
Very nice.
Yeah, but you've got to put up with my company on Sunday because we've got the 20-mile walk on Sunday.
Yeah, St Andrews to Dundee, which will be fun, mate. We'll be fine. We'll
Yeah.
do it. We'll
We're
get there.
doing the kilt walk.
Oh, okay, sweet, sweet.
So
Hopefully the weather
It's
keeps nice
meant to
for you.
be.
Yeah, from
yeah, hopefully it's
It's,
meant to be good. So
it's meant to be. So the heat we have currently, Craig, and no, Craig, you'll know all about that. We've been over in Canada as well, but the heat we currently have is we're meant to still have that on Sunday. So it's going to be fun, mate. Just make sure you've got insect repellent, sun cream, and everything else, because you'll need it for when we go through the tent smear, because
I
you'll
need
get
to add sun
bit
cream to
in
my list.
everything, mate.
I need to add sun
I've
cream
not
to
got
my
it
list.
anyway yet, but I just know from people that have done the 20-mile walk before that that's what they suggest, especially for when you go through tent smear. Sorry, we're digressing. We're not even speaking to Krieger about his stuff.
No.
But anyway, right, I'll start with Craig's writing his list for stuff for Sunday. Obviously, we seen you up here in Dundee for obviously SWE and other places and stuff like that. So what made the change happen for you to move from being in Scotland to now being where you are, based in Canada and wrestling for companies in Canada?
There was a few kind of two different camps. There was the sort of real life side of things that something we had wanted to do for a number of years. We'd spoken about it. We had looked into it briefly, but never really fully taken the steps. But kind of always accepted that it was something we wanted to do at one point. And then last year, I turned 30, so that put me the visa that we are over on. It's a 2-year visa, but you were guaranteed to not guaranteed to be accepted, but you were guaranteed to have your application viewed between the ages of, I think it was 18 to 30. Once we were over that age, it could have been a bit more difficult. We maybe still could have done it, but there wasn't as many options. So that was the real life side of things. That it was sort of, if we want to do this, it kind of has to be now or never. Sort of professionally, the reason that I had wanted to do it was one. I was lucky. I was wrestling in. I was busy all the time back home. I was wrestling in most promotions that I wanted to wrestle in. I had worked myself to quite a good position in quite a lot of them. But I always felt, I always had that confidence that I was capable of a bit more. That I was capable of sort of, it's a cliche terms in wrestling, but I felt as if I was capable of sort of being handed the reins by companies and sort of going there. But I was also very aware that nothing was going to change if I just continued to do what I was going to do. So I felt if I took the chance, hopefully come over here, hopefully it's a success, hopefully I can make a bit of a bigger name for myself, and then whatever happens at the end of these 2 years, if we look to try and continue to spend most of our time in Canada, or if we're back home spending most of our time in the UK, then at the end of these 2 years, I've got myself in a better position to really sort of crack on and elevate myself a little bit more.
Fanny Baz is eating. It's fine. I can see you're eating, dude. So it's fine. It's good to hear, because obviously we knew from knowing you personally ourselves, from being pals out with the wrestling business, and that we knew it was coming, but we just didn't know when it was coming and stuff. And then it was like when I think I missed the show. When that was your final show for us here, because I had something else on, and Craig was like, that was his last day because he's going to Canada pretty soon. I was like, oh shit, I'm gutted I missed the final match that I would see you here, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
as the thing, life happens, and as we know, but it's good to hear that insight that there's two perspectives. There's the, like, if you waited to potentially next year, it might have been more difficult because of the visa and stuff, but because you've made the jump now, and better for you, because what you're doing and what I'm following you on Instagram and everything, and I still see the matches, and I'm just like, know what? He's still proving what you were doing here, but you're proving it more over there for the companies you're working for over there, and it's great to see that you're happy in yourself and branching out, because you hear the stars that want to branch out and go elsewhere, but it doesn't potentially maybe work out for them, and they eventually come back home, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, it is. It was scary because obviously I'm biased, and I'm sure you guys will be biased as well. But I'm very proud of the quality of the scene that we have back home in Scotland. I do genuinely think that pound for pound, if you were to look at the Scottish wrestling scene and the standard of wrestler in the Scottish wrestling scene, if you put that side by side with almost any country in the world, I genuinely think it stands up. I genuinely, at worst, I don't think there's any country in the world that blows the scene out of the water. The only slight issue we have back home is we're such a small market that it's so hard from a wrestler's point of view. It's so hard to get the eyes on you that you maybe need to get to hopefully look to crack on somewhere. So it is. I was in the situation for years where you maybe are second guessing whether or not you do want to leave because you're wrestling on so many good shows. You're wrestling at times. You're wrestling for ICW where you had the platform of the WWE Network or Peacock. So it's difficult to. Sometimes you feel that you are moving in the right direction, but sadly, I think sometimes you need to go and get a little bit of international exposure if you can. But like I said, the actual scene and the quality of the scene back home is something that I won't really stop shouting from the rooftops about. I think it's up there with any country.
100%, because he's still eating. So we'll just carry on me chatting for once. No, 100%, I agree, because what we have up here is just, it's something completely and utterly different. Obviously, you see what Lou's doing with Valor and stuff, and I remember seeing him elsewhere and stuff before he went to Valor, and he's still as crazy as he is now, as I've known him from before, and stuff, and that, and like death matches and stuff. It's just like, obviously we'll touch on stuff later about Bleeding Gums and stuff like that, but before I went to my first show, Bleeding Gums, I was like, right, I need to get watching stuff. Started watching it. I was watching it with a wee man because obviously he loves wrestling. We're going to the Bleeding Gums show with Craig and whatever, and he's like, Dad, I want to go. He says, I'm really sorry, you have to wait a few years, man, because of the age. And he's like, yeah, but I says, look, when you get to the age when you're allowed and stuff, and if they do a show here and stuff, because there's no guarantee that I could always rely on Craig for travel because it could be elsewhere, and there's no guarantee that we're always going to make these shows. So same time, look, if when it comes to your age, but it's like even like when we've watched it back or whatever, and you see the DVDs, he's just sitting there, he's like, you know what I mean? And thinking, I know I got into it through Craig, but then to show him to see that he is at that age, yeah, he's only a few years away from it, but he's thinking he wants to go and actually experience a show like that, like with deathmatch wrestling. It's not something I thought, like he loves anything that's on the TV, whether it be wrestling, but it's not something I thought that he would enjoy, if you know what I mean. Yes, he loves violence and stuff that he sees when it's movies, but when it was wrestling, he's like, Dad, they can't get away with that in WWE or AEW. The fact they're doing it there, that is class. You know what I mean? So,
I think that in particular, I would imagine in particular that style of wrestling, but wrestling as a whole, I think that the live experience it's so different to anything you see on WWE or on TV at all. Sorry, because you do have, and I can understand it from a fan point of view, or from a parent potentially that isn't really a wrestling fan. It's just that their children like watching WWE. That sometimes it's easy to think that my kid loves CM Punk. Why would I take him to this show in a community hall in Glasgow? Because he's not going to see CM Punk. He's not going to see CM Punk, but he's going to get an experience that is so different to what you could get. And also, just from a purely financial point of view, the ticket prices for these big shows nowadays is crazy. So for the price of one ticket, you could easily take a family of four to your local wrestling show. Let's be honest, it's probably not going to be the same standard of wrestling as you're going to get if you go and see WWE. But the kids, every single kid there is going to be able to high five their favourite fan. They're going to be able, if they shout something at the bad guy's going to react to that individual kid. Such an experience. So to hear that translates into that style of wrestling as well is a good thing, because I think, again, from when I was still back home, Bleeding Gums was only sort of, I wouldn't say they were just starting, but you could tell they were sort of on the up. So to see that style of wrestling also has that reaction for younger fans is really good as well, because the better any promotion does, the better the whole scene does. So that's great to hear that there's the sort of younger fans are into that type of wrestling as well.
100%. Like as I say, I never I knew I would because I'd seen the way Craig spoke about it and then watched stuff at his. Then I started watching more deathmatch stuff and I'm thinking, right, I definitely. And when I knew Bleeding Gums was coming here, then I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and he makes that show 100%. And it's like every other time now, it's like, right, if there's a show, if I could get, if like missed the double weekender that was there, like past because we'll work.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no way because when the first bell, I could have got away from work but I wouldn't have made it for first spell and stuff. I would have been like probably halfway through the show and I thought I could pay that money, but I'm only seeing half the show, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I know Andy wouldn't mind that and stuff and everything else. But it's like I'm thinking to myself, if I'm going to go and see a show like that, I want to be there from start to end to
Mm-hmm.
be able to interact with everybody and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
even that with him, he loves it. Like going to our local shows and whatever else and giving it out to the bad guys. Like especially
Mm-hmm.
like Davy Blaze. Davy Blaze is brilliant with him. Honestly.
Those
It's like
kid
he'll
fight.
get in Davy kid and kid fight, yeah, you both of them. He'll get in their face, right, and give them
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And then like first time he did it, right, because I was like taken back because actually kid got right in his face, and he pulled away and it's like we spoke to him after. And he says, "Look, if I get in your face, give me it back." And see now, see since he got that authority, anytime they're coming out and we're at a show with them and stuff, and it's like that. If the wee man's there, he'll give it out, and it's like he just looks at him and says, "Oh, you shut up and sit down, wee man." But he just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. He gives it back, and they love it. The fact that he's
Yeah.
willing to get in their face and everything
Mm-hmm.
else, it's great for me as a parent. Whereas I don't have to engage him; he'll do what he wants himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
Right,
I
Craig, you
think
go on
with
now. As soon
the
as you're finished eating, mate.
I think going back to what you were saying about like bleeding gums in particular, um, I was probably guilty of this as well. I think that so many of us that, let's be honest, wrestling is it's an uncommon interest, and then
Mhm.
within a wrestling community, within that already uncommon community, being into deathmatch wrestling is uncommon within that community. And I know at least from my experience, before sort of Bleeding Gums came to Scotland, the only real exposure I had to deathmatch wrestling was clips that would do the rounds on Twitter, which in hindsight was probably of guys that weren't doing it correctly.
Mhm.
Because when you go to a Bleeding Gums show, um, like you look at the guys that have sort of dedicated that aspect of their career to that style of wrestling. Um, it's not going to be for everyone the same way that you get some wrestling fans that get bored watching a Zack Sabre Jr. match. They just don't like technical wrestling. But when you can appreciate when guys are doing it right, even if it's not your style of wrestling, you can tell when guys are doing it how it's meant to be done. Um, and I think that Bleeding Gums need a lot of praise because I think because of that misconception that a lot of people, even people within wrestling, have of deathmatch wrestling, they probably were fighting an uphill battle from the very start. So the fact that they've managed to get a bit of a foothold, they seem to be consistently drawing quite good crowds. There seems to be a lot of interest online on the shows that they put on. They seem to work hard to bring over the guys that fan base want to see. So they seem to be doing really, really well.
Yeah, just touch on that. Yeah, it's definitely doing real well. I think I've only missed since I started going. I've missed one show since I've started going, and that was because it was in Newcastle.
Yeah,
And just
that's fair.
generally couldn't get down for that weekend with money wise, but also due to work stuff and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So, but yeah, I've been to every other show. I'm going to the triple show weekend that's coming up at the start
Okay,
of
sweet.
September, so I'm looking forward to that. Um, but yeah, just like it's good to hear. Like, sorry about the eating. I had my tea real late
Not at
today, so
all.
I
Not at
was quite
all.
hungry. So shout out to my other half Tony for bringing us my ham on toast and my packet of crisps. Um, but yeah, no, it was good. While you were talking about it, and I was listening away, and it's good to hear like your stories about how why you moved to Canada and stuff like that. Um, we miss you here. It's
Oh, yeah,
the same
100% we do.
on show days sometimes when you're not there.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
But hopefully we would see you back soon.
yeah, I hope so. But I
No,
may not
I'm,
be for a couple of years, mate.
no, absolutely. I'll definitely be, but I don't know when. But even within this 2 year window, I'll be back at some point to visit family and stuff. And I will look to get some work when I'm over there because I miss all the fans as well. You guys know yourself, the UK wrestling fans, they're different from everything else. And obviously just your home fans is different. So I'll definitely be back at some point. God knows when that is right now, but I'll definitely be back at some point.
Yeah. No, I've got a question for the both of you. Let's see
Oh,
if
fish
you
and
guys
chips.
remember this. But does any of you remember when we last had you on the podcast, Krieger?
Oh, fuck. Oh,
Well, that's a good
mate, it was
question.
last year sometime, wasn't that?
It was.
I can't remember the exact date, to be fair.
My guess. Apologies if I'm getting mixed up with a different podcast, but I seem to have a recollection of maybe just before or round about the time that I wrestled Andy Wild at Fear and Loathing, potentially, which would be what, round about, oh, no, it can't be. That would be what, October, November 2 years ago? That can't be right.
May last year.
Maybe.
Well,
Oh,
there you
wow.
go.
I knew it was
That's
last
not
year.
as
I just
bad as I
couldn't
thought.
remember when it was, mate.
The only reason I know that is because I went through messages that I said with you and double checked because so I can then judge where it can go from matches. And I looked back and yeah, it was where was it? 21st of May.
Wow.
22nd of May,
There you go.
sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 26 because we had technical difficulties that night.
Yes, we did actually. Yes, I do remember that now.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was around the 22nd of May. Just a wee technical question.
Yeah.
So
I've got an excuse. I get hit in the head a lot. I don't know what Alan's excuse is.
Alan's old.
I am. I'm the oldest fucking here.
But touching on what you said earlier, not an achievement, but I didn't know you were only 30.
No,
Oh
mate,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
going to lie. Near the heck to die. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
94
Well,
baby.
yeah.
I know, mate.
Well,
Fuck.
I'm 31 now. I'm 31 now. But yeah. So I know I've had a rough paper round. I look a bit older than I am, but which was good to an extent when I was younger. But now that I'm getting a bit older, I wish it went the opposite direction. But sadly not.
It's funny because we're the same age.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
there
only
you go.
31 as
You need
well.
to start wrestling. You need to start wrestling.
No.
Get yourself a death match soon.
No, I've already wanted to be hit by electric, but keep getting told no, so I better not.
Yeah, that's Tony for you though, mate. She doesn't want your
No, at
heart.
one point she agreed. So yeah, but I got told no, so no. So
Yeah, you do what you're told, mate. It's better. A happy wife, happy
no,
life.
I'm waiting on the comment because she has came back saying about my food because she went, "You're welcome, even though I did start making my tea after the 12-hour shift to make your food. You're lucky I love you." No, I know you do.
Oh my word.
Right, we'll go through some of the guys you went up against since we last had you on the podcast. Some we probably spoke about before, some will be new. So we'll just touch on really who they were, and about what you think of them and how you feel they're still getting on to this day, because
Okay.
we've went up against maybe a lot of them before. The first one is Dean Ford. You went up against Dean Ford on the 31st of May 2024. Dean Ford beat you, but obviously Dean has retired from wrestling now. Someone that I got to know through the wrestling scene myself, and such a great guy that he is. I hope he's doing well. I've not spoken to him in a while, so try and speak to him again soon. But what was your remembrance of Dean?
Oh, I've got all the time in the world for Dean. Dean's one of my best friends that I've made through wrestling. He, like you said, he's hung up the boots just now. He's got a wee daughter now. So he's living dad life. Seems to be loving it. Still talk to him very regularly. Thankfully, I got the chance to meet the wee one once before I moved over, which was great. But no, Dean's Dean's great. I think that bad initially, but I'm actually quite. I was quite happy when Dean actually told me that he was starting to wrestle, because I think Dean had got to that point where the stress of wrestling outweighed the reward for him. Which, if you ever get to that point, I think he made the right decision to walk away. Also, he walk away on his own terms, to not touch wood. He didn't have an injury or anything that made him walk away. Just decided, look, my heart's not in this anymore. Um, so one, I love Dean, and two, I've got a lot of respect for him to actually just be like, you know what, this isn't for me anymore. Because there's a lot of guys that hang on too long and are scared to make that choice. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Dean for making that choice.
And just touching on Dean, I know it happened after a few more matches that we're going to touch on with people, but you actually got to have a death match with Dean as well.
Mm.
This was in July. I was at this event, and it was actually meant to be Looking Sharp up against Dean that night.
Mm. Mm.
But it was yourselves. It was yourselves. It was yourself. Um, but having that match with Dean as well must have meant something, something to you as well, to do it with your best friend.
Yeah. So deathmatch wrestling, it was never really something that I had much of a interest to get involved in. But at that time, that was what Dean wanted to sort of throw himself into. Um, Dean needed an opponent. If there was anyone that I would do that type of match with, it would have been Dean. I trust Dean as much as I can't remember if that was his first one or if he'd done one before. I can't remember. So, but I trust Dean. I've known him for a while. I also trusted Dean enough where I knew if I'd said to Dean, look, I don't feel comfortable with you hitting me with that, I knew he wouldn't do it. So no, it was good. Also to feel as if you were to help out one of your friends that was wanting to try and make an impact in that, and also so that he could be as relaxed as he could be getting into that style of match. So no, that was good fun. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I don't know if I'd be in a rush to do one again, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I would hate every single minute of it. I thought adrenaline can only block out so much of this stuff, but it went well. It was good fun. We were both safe afterwards, so can't ask for anything else.
No, exactly. Having a wee look as well quickly through Dean's stuff. It looks like it was about his third one.
Okay,
He had one in Bleeding Gums on the very first show against
okay,
Nixon, where he got killed, apparently. TKO,
okay.
as I should say. And then he had a match in Valor for a death match, and that was with Michael Caden and Tim Strange.
Oh yeah, I do remember that one actually. Now that you mention it, yeah. Even that was sort of it was a death match, but it was, by death match standards, it's reined in a little bit because obviously there's kids in attendance there as well. But yeah, I remember that match now that you mention it. I remember watching it and thinking, oh, I don't know what I've signed up for here.
And it's funny because I'll always bring this up to you. I remember on the last podcast, I don't know if Aaron remembers that.
Yes.
You kept moaning about Looking Sharp wanting to do street fights after street fights after
Oh
hardcore fight,
yeah.
and I'll never do a death match. I don't even like the hardcore fight street fights, and then you go and do a death match. And I still remember turning to you this day and going, "Won't do a death match, will you?"
Well, all I'm going to say is, if you remember correctly, you said when you brought up that death match that Dean was initially meant to wrestle Luke King Sharp.
Yeah.
So somehow Luke King Sharp still got me dragged into a death match despite not being in that death match himself.
Did you not have a death match
True.
before that, though?
I don't think so, unless Lou's called one of the matches we had a death match. Um,
Because
I think he's probably called something a Texas death match, but
I'm more thinking with Bleeding Gums. Maybe it was after that. Yeah, it was after that. It was the Gauntlet match
yeah,
with Falcon
yeah,
Display. So
Mm.
I apologise, I got it wrong. I was a bit early with that. I've lost where I was now. Right, I found it. So the next person that I want to touch on is an up and coming star who I think is doing absolutely amazing just now myself, and that is Logan Smith.
Mm. Yeah.
What's your
Again,
thoughts?
he's a young guy that I've became sort of really friendly with over the years. And he's just, I can't really say enough good things about him, both in ring and outside. Outside of the ring, you're going to struggle to meet a nicer guy, funnier guy backstage. Just one of the guys that if you turn up to a show and you see him cutting her out backstage, you know that worst case scenario you're going to have fun. Um, in ring, he seems to just go from sort of strength to strength. Um, for a guy that's still very young, I would be lying if I said I knew exactly what age he was, but my guess would be maybe mid-20s, if even that. He's probably younger than that actually. But he's had a few really quite significant injuries at points as well. He went through a phase when he was younger where he had a sort of ongoing shoulder thing, I think, which well, it wasn't any serious injuries, but when you've not yet became addicted to performing on shows and you're getting recurrent injuries. I've seen a lot of guys or women that are training that if they get nagging injuries before they've got to that point, it's easy to walk away. He didn't. He kept at it. He had quite a bad, I think he broke his shin or something in some freak accident at training. Came back from that. He just continues to get better and better and better. At one point, he had settled into the young team with Jimmy Pierce. Really good young team. It seemed for a while as if they were going to be used as a team everywhere, and that would don't want to say that would be it, as if there's anything wrong with just being a tag team, but went through a phase where I thought, right, okay, they're going to be two good tag team guys going forward, and then sort of Logan then got the opportunity places, and he turned into a really good singles guy as well. He's able to work, good guy, bad guy. He's sort of really is an all rounder. He's a very talented young wrestler.
Yeah, and touching on Logan as well, he's just also been the head coach at Dansk
Oh
Pro
yeah,
Wrestling as
yeah,
well. So it was good to see that you got the opportunity to be the head coach there as
mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah,
Another great guy that I've got to know through the wrestling, we've got to know through the wrestling scene that you'll see me and he'll always have a laugh with me and
yeah,
stuff like that. So it's always a good thing.
mm-hmm. No,
From wrestling
absolutely.
school as well, though, doesn't he, with someone else? Does Logan have his
Uh,
own thing as well, I think?
yeah. He
Company.
now, I'm
Company,
pretty sure.
yeah. Sorry,
He runs his own company now. He runs Main Event Entertainment.
that's it.
He also, I think you're right as well. I think he now is the head coach at a Greenock school, which is under the PBW banner.
Yeah.
So he's also, that's a good point. I forgot that he also does a lot of coaching now as well. So he's a good guy to learn from because not only can he teach you a lot. I've never actually attended a session he's taken, but from my experience with him, I also think he's got the right approach to things as well. I think he would be a very nice guy to learn from as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you're right. It's like you're going on there about touching like with them being facing here, like both him and Jimmy. It's like I remember the first time I seen them. It's like I didn't know right who in this promotion that they were bad guys, but I'd just seen them and because I'd watched ICW and they were so over because in ICW they're goodies.
Yeah,
So the music hits and I'm giving it the big licks and then Craig looks at me, why the hell are you cheering them? I says, well, they're not goodies yet. And he's like,
yeah,
no. And it's like, oh shit. I was like, okay, okay, I'll get on the bad, be on the bad side then, and cheer for the good and stuff. It just, I was like, the way to burst my bubble at a show, I'm like thinking, shit. But
yeah.
no, but both of them, you're right. They could play the face and heel
Mm,
characters so freaking well.
yeah. No, they're both really, really good.
yeah. And it's good that in the promotion, the new promotion Saltire, um, the Logan and that had come out at the last show, and I think it was more just Logan who came out for a
Mhm.
match, and obviously they've got that catchy music, so everyone's like doing that with
Mhm.
Rams and starts, and everyone just starts chanting one more time. So the music man allows it and puts it on for us, so we're all dancing, keep dancing away, and it goes on for a while that now.
I remember when they put that, like, when we had Logan on the pod before, like when it was the old pod, he said that, oh yeah, we're going to do music and we need to get this going at a
Mhm.
show, and I was like, right, okay, well, it's just, and we'll try and get it working, and it's like,
Yeah,
and when it from that and then to Saltair, it's like it's not just us now, everybody, because they know what's coming and they know when they put it off that the music man's going to oblige, and they both love the fan interaction as well, like
brilliant.
yourself, like the way you do, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
And without fan interaction, you can't get what you need to get, whether it be in the match, whether it's a face and like two
Mm.
heels or two faces, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Without that, the match doesn't flow the way that you need it to, if you know what I mean.
yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. No, they're both good workers. They're both charismatic. They both have age on their side as well. So there's sort of sky's the limit, I think.
100%, mate.
And just touching on that, Aaron, what you said about if there's no fan interaction, you don't get the match you want, but it's also getting the wrestler getting to the crowd going. Like if it's a new wrestler, it might put them off wrestling. If it's like an experienced wrestler, yeah, they know what they need to do. But if they're not getting that reaction, then they're like, well, what the hell? What's the point? So it doesn't get things like it might not read like storyline, or it might not just be that match that they're looking for it to be, which is disappointing them. Which is how we come in because we just help everyone that we can.
Yeah, I think it's that's because a lot of folk, because they know us now, they see us at shows, and if they are needing something, if it's not going, they'll motion to it. If it's not me or if it's I'm not paying attention, it's Craig. I'll motion and say, right, we need to wait until they give, and then when they give the nod, we do whatever it is that they need, whether it be a bad chant or a good chant or whatever, to get where they need to get to. And it's like
Even
good to
just the
see that.
clapping,
Yeah,
even
it's
if they're
like good to
both
see.
on the
Yeah,
mat, just to get them going. It's even that you'll see one of them, you'll see someone that'll look over. Uh, maybe Logan's done it before, but also I've seen like Mark Monroe do it before.
yeah, I've seen them doing it as well, mate. Yeah,
He'll kind of look at me and he'll give me a nod or he'll signal to me in a way that he's like, I need help here, like we need help here, can we get
Mm.
something going. So I'll then just go into a chant or I'll do the start doing the clap and then it gets everyone going and then like they're off again and you just see even after they'll come and go, thank you so much, like that helped.
yeah,
I'm like, look, mate, I'm here for you. You know that I'm here
Mm.
for you. Like Mark Monroe, I've got a close friend with now. Um, we talk every like most months and stuff like that. I see him most months now, so like we get that interaction and that going. So it's stuff like that that I've said to all wrestlers that I either interview or I speak to. Like if you need the help, use me.
Mm. Yeah.
So the next one I'm going to talk on is there's two people in this because it's a tag team. It's God's Country, but there is only two out of three. It's Stone Malone and Tim Strange.
oh,
Yeah.
his husband.
So I started. So I don't think he maybe started slightly after me, but I trained with Stone for years when we were at the Airdrie School with Big TJ. So me and Stone go sort of way back in terms of from our earliest days training. So it's always fun when you get to. I don't get the opportunity a lot because there's not a massive amount of guys that actually started training with me that are either still training or that we cross paths that often. So it's always good to when you get to wrestle guys like that, because it's more fun when you've known guys as long as I've known Stone. Um, Tim, me and Tim have became quite good friends. Tim helped me out quite a lot for coming to Canada as well. Um, you guys know Tim. Tim's a big wind up merchant. So at points doing anything with Tim can be difficult, but that's not disparaging Tim's ability. That's putting over Tim's ability to make things difficult. Um, I remember that match being fun. I would be lying if I said I can remember much about it in particular, but I do remember thinking the matches were fun. I do remember feeling that every time you get to wrestle, because they're quite a well established act now on Valor. Um, a well-established sort of character unit. I doubt it's on Cage Match, but I'm sure they had Veronica with them as well on the outside. So that's always it's one of the things I've always liked about sort of tag team wrestling or sort of multi-man matches. I feel that sometimes I can find it a little bit easier to be creative when you have extra bodies in the match, because you can do things that even the most basic of multi-man spots is going to be different from most other things on the show because they don't have as many bodies. Um, so yeah, the match was fun. I do remember. I remember Veronica slapping me at the end of that match, and I remember that being as stiff as anyone's ever hit me before. So she's got a good slap on her. But no, it was good fun.
Good. Tony, my other half, has come in and said she doesn't like Tim no more, and there's a story
Okay,
behind that. So
okay,
quickly tell you the story behind it. So we were at was it the first Dundee show?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one. So we got in. We went to a spot and Tim was sitting in the seat. So Tony was sitting next to him and he just turned around and went, "You're my girlfriend for the night." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what you take or whatever." Like I wasn't fussed, so um he came out for his match, blew her a kiss, gave her the hat, the cowboy hat and that, and then took it back, did his rodeo time. And then the next Dundee show, he gave his hat to someone else. So he was
uh,
divorced.
yeah,
Um, so and then through that match, after he did rodeo time, she got the hat this time. And then at the last show we were at, which was the last Perth show, um, he gave his hat to the same girl he gave it to at the last show before that, before she got it. So he was divorced again.
mm. Who would have thought Tim Strange would have been fighting off all the women, eh?
I
Who
know,
would
Oh
have,
yeah.
who would have thought? I
Aye.
know, such a heartthrob, Tim
I
Strange.
know. But yeah, so he's been divorced twice. Probably going to be three times at the next show.
There you
Maybe
go,
even
yeah.
five by the end of that weekend.
Yeah,
Aye,
would
yeah,
not
because
put
it's
it
a
past him.
triple header.
The next person is Aaron Echo. Someone that I've not seen live. I've seen a lot of videos on. Um, it looks really good when you see the videos. But what's your recollection on Aaron Echo?
Yeah, no, it's always good fun. I feel as if I'm saying that about a lot of people, but it's always like Aaron Echo's a very solid, good, technically sound wrestler. Like there's nothing, there's nothing that I don't think he can do in ring. He's a very, very skilled all round wrestler. Um, again, so Echo and I, we sort of started training around about the same time. I think we debuted on the same show and stuff, but we were always at different schools. He was at the Glasgow school, I was at the Airdrie school. Um, obviously he's a bit taller than me, but both big guys, both fairly athletic for our size. Probably he's more athletic than me, but both athletic for our size. Um, so it always sort of through the training school and stuff, we'd always sort of kind of weirdly been linked as we came through. Um, like a lot of comparisons always made about us and stuff. Um, so it was good to actually, and I'd been lucky enough to wrestle him on quite a few occasions, but for both of us to be able to share that, we went on and share. We had quite a lot of kind of big matches or matches that were big for myself. So I might mix up the order here, sorry, but we had one of the matches that we had was at the Asylum, but it was the Asylum show that was after the Clash at the Castle, I believe.
Yeah,
So one of the midnight
this
shows.
is the one that I've pulled up. It's the
Yeah,
After Hours tag two.
yeah. So that weekend always feels like a bigger deal because there's more eyes on the product and stuff. It's a weekend where we maybe have a better chance of making new fans because there might be folk that have travelled up from England or whatever or travelled down to Glasgow. that went to the WWE show and then thought, well, while we're here, we may as well go check out ICW. So that was at that, and I remember that match being really good. That was a match that I was proud of, and then we went on to wrestle quite a lot in a short period of time that culminated in the Fear and Loathing match, the Last Man Standing match at the garage. So for my sort of final run in ICW to kind of be split almost between Echo and Colton Davis, was really good because again, Aaron Echo is one of these guys that I'd kind of known. We've never been particularly close, but we've always got on quite well. And we've kind of came through at the same time. We've all different timelines for both of us, but we've sort of risen up together gradually. So to be able to get that match was good. And again, that Aaron Echo was one of the guys that I would wrestle every night of the week if I had to. You know, it's going to be fun.
Class. Another newbie to the business who has been in for, I want to say 2 or 3 years now. Someone that, again, I've got to know a little bit through shows and have a laugh with them and that, but it's Sander Davidson.
Yeah. So Xander's very. I'm the same as you. I don't know. I would be lying if I said I knew exactly how long he's now been wrestling, but he's in quite a short period of time. He seems to. He's certainly established himself as one of the wrestlers that everyone should be keeping an eye on in the Scottish scene. Where the next steps for him are that there's so many training schools now in Scotland.
Yeah.
There's so many good wrestlers coming out because the vast majority of the training schools are producing good quality wrestlers. And it's no, like, he just needs to find what's going to separate him and sort of really kick him on to the next level. He certainly has all the ability to do it. I've wrestled him a few times. He wrestles to a standard well beyond the amount of years that he's been wrestling. He seems very, very natural when he wrestles. Before I left, he was really coming into his own in terms of finding his character, becoming a bit more naturally charismatic and things like that. So he's one of the guys that I've got no doubt when I do come back home, I'm going to see one of his matches and he's going to have just taken off, barring something out with his control stopping him from doing so, because he's got all the natural tools. He's already doing it very, very well, but when eventually that all clicks into place for him, he's just going to take off, I think.
Yeah. And it's something I agree with. Like, I had a quick look there, and it'll be 3 years in about October or November.
Okay.
That he's been in the business, and every time I see him, he gets better and better and better. And I do see him. I see him like once a month, twice, once every 2-3 months at a push. But it's someone that I do enjoy watching and seeing how he progresses. The next one is Drew Marshall.
Yeah. So Drew was a guy that I didn't get to wrestle that often while I was sort of in my earlier years. We'd kind of crossed paths slightly, but never really seemed to wrestle that often. We'd done a huge amount of W3L shows together. Again, like I said, we just never really found ourselves on opposite sides. So we actually get the match was good. Again, Drew's naturally very, very talented. So I remember the matches being fun. I remember the matches being nothing to do with who I was wrestling. I found the matches, or that run of matches against the sort of new NAK, as a challenge personally, because Lou was using them as the top heel faction. But if you guys have been to the show, you know the reaction that they get isn't like it's very split. So and it's not something that I've not really had a massive amount of experience in that setting. I've no issue working if the fans are cheering for both of us and we're both working as good guys. It was a challenge, not just for me, for Drew as well. It was a challenge for all of us when we want to get these guys over as the nastiest of nasty heels. Yeah, half the fans are cheering for them.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good. I enjoy. It's not my place to say whether or not we've done it well or not. I'll let other people make that decision. But I enjoy the challenges. I enjoy sort of being given something and kind of trying my best to see if we can make it work.
The matches I've seen you when you went up against New Age Click, have always been good. Like I've not seen any issue with them. I was at the first one in Paisley where Drew joined New Age Click, came from behind. I'm sure I've been at one of the street fights that you have had, but I've always enjoyed them. I've always cheered for you and Luth, though, yeah. And
Okay, I
I'm
appreciate
repping
that.
a Drew Marshall top tonight
Oh, okay.
because it's me.
What a heel turn.
I know, damn. I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't know. Just touching on Drew. I don't know if you keep up to date with a lot of like the Scottish scene still just now. Um, but if you look at the SWE Facebook page, you'll see a video that's been made, and it's of Drew Marshall and John Hex, and Drew pushed John Hex off the balcony.
Okay, God.
So that happened at the previous show. And a statement did come out from SWE saying they're not working with Drew Marshall any longer. They've got ties with Drew Marshall, so um, we hope John Hex is recovering very well. He had bad concussion in a back, but he's recovering at home, so we do wish him all the best.
God.
Touching on the next person is Kenny Williams.
Yeah, the matches with Kenny are matches that I was very proud of the matches because I'd be lying if I said I could remember exactly how many, but I think I wrestled Kenny twice probably in quite a short period of time there. I think that was again my timelines. I can be quite bad at times for being so focused on my own stuff that you could tell me something else that happens on the same show I'm on, and I've maybe not. My timeline's all out. It's not because I don't care about the product, it's because I'm so focused on my part of it. But at least in my head, I think it was not long after Kenny had became the champion. I think I might have actually been his first defence potentially.
You versed him when he wasn't champion in
Okay.
July, and then you versed him again in September, where he was the champion, where he did defend the championship against you.
So firstly, the actual title match was a big deal because for me personally, because I think that may have been my first and probably only match for the ICW title, unless apologies if I'm forgetting about something, but I think it was. So that one meant a lot personally. The matches with Kenny, um, when I first started training with Big TJ, Kenny had just got into ICW at that point, so Kenny was the sort of poster boy for if you sort of listen to TJ, if you work hard, blah blah blah. This is the sort of opportunities that are available. And then obviously like Kenny and I we've never been friends, right? But sort of he's kind of through chance he's found himself playing quite important roles throughout my career in terms of like when Lou and I won the PBW tag title, which is the first tag titles we won together. We then went on, if I say so myself, we went on a good tag run together for years after that. We won it off Kenny and Grado. So then he come all the way full circle where you're then wrestling Kenny for the ICW title. Meant a lot for me, also because I'm not saying I'm as good as as guys like Kenny. I'm not being arrogant enough to say that, but I do believe that and if fans disagree with this, I've got absolutely no issue with that. If promoters disagree with this, no issue with that. I personally believe that I belong on the same level as these guys. I feel as if I can go in there, I can do main event matches with whoever you put me in with, and you're going to get a good match. That I'm someone that whatever company's using me can rely on. So they were matches that meant a lot to me personally because I didn't really feel as if, and this is probably on myself. In fact, certainly is on myself. I could probably have done better with certain opportunities, but I wasn't really given that chance a lot at ICW. I had sort of fell into like the reactions I was getting was very good. I had even before Lou had left, we'd built up a good relationship with the fans. The fans were behind me a lot. But it was a good spot to be in, so I'm not complaining, but I felt as if I'd kind of hit a wall a little bit. So to have the matches, which I viewed as an opportunity to show that no, I'm one of the guys that if you decide you do want to elevate me up to this level, then I'm not going to let you down. So the matches were really, really good. I wish the matches had came around before I was leaving, but I was still happy to get them, even if it was just for me personally to feel myself as if right on my final run, I wrestled guys that I wrestled Andy Wilde. It's been a sort of perennial kind of main eventer for ICW. I wrestled a good few matches with Kenny, who was the champion. I wrestled matches with Echo, who had been the champion. And I felt as if in that final run, I sort of showed like this is the level I could be at. If you ever wanted to get behind me at that level.
Yeah. It's good to like you can see like when you watch Kenny, you can see he's where he is because he's worked hard to get there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
you can all
As much as as much as I say, and I'm not gonna lie and say that me and Kenny are friends because we're not, but the guy's talent is undoubted.
Mhm.
The guy's talent is undoubted. He truly is one of the best that Scotland's ever produced.
Yeah.
The guy's a genuine world class talent.
Mhm. No, he definitely is. There's three people in this match that I want to touch on. First one is Lucha DS. Someone that I've got close to myself. Someone that as well well, last I know he's hanging up the boots this year himself. Um, it's obviously time for him. So there's him. There's Ahmed Hamdi, who is a new talent coming through again. And then the big one that to touch on, and that is BT Gun.
So Lucha's I don't really know what to say about Lucha. Lucha's been an incredibly close friend for what maybe 10 years now. Um, Constantly, it's strange because you see Lucha even moving over here is it's strange because you're so used to seeing Lucha 2 3 times a week. Um, yeah, like them almost every show we were on together. 9 times out of 10, we were bloody wrestling each other. Um, he's such a I like to get on him a lot, but he's in the last 10 years. I don't think there's been a single wrestler in Scotland that has understood their role on a show more than Lucha. Um, he, what I think to a lot of people, what he brings to a show, won't fully be appreciated until he's no longer there. Because it is, and I'm probably part of the reason for this, because you never hear me say nice things about Lucha, but we all slag him online, but he's such a vital part to all the shows we do. Almost every fan, every young fan I speak to after the show, Lucha's their favourite wrestler. To the kids, he's the superhero, which that sounds funny to me because Lucha's that old that I think he was my dad's favourite wrestler when he was growing up. But
That's
to
class, man.
the kids, he's the superhero. He plays his role perfectly. And yeah, so it'll be. I don't know exactly how long he's got left or whatever, but it will be. I think that'll be a bit of a sad day for Scottish wrestling. When he does go. Ahmed Hamdi he's a guy that him and Lucha go way back. This now sounds as if I'm still slagging Lucha for being old. I'm genuinely not. There's something where I genuinely think Lucha told me that he used to babysit him. So, and they went way back. They trained at. So there's been a couple of iterations of like a Greenock training school. The first one that opened up was ran by Scott Maverick. I don't know if you guys ever seen him wrestle or whatever, but he used to run that. Lucha started there, and so did Ahmed Hamdi. He so they guys have sort of got a lot of history there. I've always rated Ahmed Hamdi. So when I had my very short-lived spell at running shows, he was a young wrestler that I was fully behind. So I ran that a sort of young lions tournament just to kind of try and help some of the younger guys break out, because not to jump about too much, but when I had the Asylum Invitational that Red Lightning put on, I felt as if that tournament done a lot for, probably, like, certainly done a lot for myself. I think it done a lot for guys like Kieran Kelly, Aaron Echo. That was our first sort of big exposure, if you will, in Scottish wrestling. So I was trying, not suggesting for a minute I had anywhere near the same platform that they guys gave us, but I felt that if I could do my part to help younger guys, why not? He was a young guy that I was fully behind. He took a bit of time off. I can't remember the exact reasoning, but he took a bit of time off pre-COVID. He was away for maybe a year or two, but then he came back, which so he's still. If you were to look on Cage Match, it will look as if he's maybe not done as much as he should have done for the amount of time he's been wrestling, but the amount of time that it says he's been wrestling maybe is a bit misleading, because in that time there's probably been two years where he wasn't around. So you see him back, it's great. I genuinely think he could be a guy that could be a real asset. Wrestling style, it reminds me an awful lot of Xander Davidson. So I think they could be two guys that sort of for years to come could be sort of neck and neck for that sort of top bad guy spot in a lot of promotions. BT Gunn, what can I say about BT Gunn that 100 people haven't already said about BT Gunn? I think if you have any wrestler of sort of my generation in Scotland that doesn't think that BT Gunn is one of the guys that really helped them throughout their career, was one of the guys that consistently has been probably the best wrestler in Scotland, then I wouldn't fully believe them, to be honest. Like, BT Gunn is just, from you can watch a BT Gun match and think you understand just how good the guy is, But then when you actually get the opportunity to wrestle BT Gunn, you realise, and it was the same for Stevie Boy as well. Like both of the guys are just like they're a level. No matter how good they look when you're watching them wrestle, they're better than that. Is again.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. The BT Gun, like he was someone that I've watched growing up, and like even now I see him like once a month, once every 2 months. I've recently seen him 3 weeks in a row just at different shows.
Mm.
So like it's someone that I enjoy watching, and it's someone that I like. Even like Lucha, I love watching Lucha as well. The stuff that they do is just it's you go, oh, I'll never be able to do that, but well done to you. But no, they're always good to be watching. And Ahmed Hamdi, he's someone that's up and coming,
Mm-hmm.
and he is doing well for himself. He's getting his name about places. He's got championships in some companies, so it's good to also see as well.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
I'm going to rattle through some of the names that I'm going to touch on now, just because we don't want to keep you on for a long, long time.
Okay.
Because obviously you've got, I don't know what time it is in Canada, but you've also got the evening. You'll probably you want to have plans and stuff like that. So, I'll touch on a few more names that I think are very important. And then we'll look at some stupid questions, and then we'll let you go for the evening.
No problem.
The next one I do want to touch on though, is David Blaze.
Yeah, Blaze is fun. Blaze is very fun to wrestle. I think that would be the main thing that anyone that you ask would say. It's good fun. You know what it's like having been in the crowd during one of his matches. You never fully know which direction he's going to take the match.
Mhm.
It literally sometimes you can go out with thinking you have an idea of what's going to happen. Then you go in there, and for whatever reason, Blaze has decided that tonight's the night where he's going to be comedy Blaze. So the match has to be different. Or you can go in there and it can be serious Blaze, in which case you've got a real hard hitting heavyweight that you're going to know you were in a match. But it's always good fun. Just a lot of the time you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. But it's good fun. A guy I've known for years again, so you have that sort of comfort of knowing and trusting that you're going to go out there and whatever does happen, you know that it's going to be good.
Yeah, definitely. And it's someone that me and Aaron have both got to know a lot as well through the wrestling class as a good friend. Before we go any further, my other half, Tony, who is literally in the other room, has come in and says she really wants to know what the time is in Canada.
So I don't want to check my phone because it'll make my face disappear, but we're 7 hours behind.
So it's 20 to 10 at night here.
So that'd be
His
sort of
fingers here.
20 to 3?
23, yeah.
Um,
23. So yeah, it's still middle of the day for us, yeah.
Whereas it's dark here. Very
yeah.
dark now.
What I do want to touch on is what was it also like going up against like guys for death matches? Like obviously your last death match kind of got like you had. It was obviously yourself and Lou, but you went up against like Franco Fate, Jack Bennett, who basically do death matches quite a lot. You also went up against the likes of Big F and Joe, who's big into the death match scene, Danny Darko. Um, what was it like against them? But what was it also like having like doing the first death match, being involved in the first death match with like Fulton King and Sammy Sparks, Legends Never Die.
Yeah, no, that I remember that match or that show being good fun. I find so when I was in with the guys, there's a lot of pressure or a lot of pressure I'd put on myself in terms of trying to get that to the standard that they guys would be happy with for their for what it is they do. And it's one of the things that and that's why I said earlier that I don't think I would be in a rush to do another death match. Not because I didn't enjoy it, not because I I don't think that, like, I don't think I'm above it or any of that sort of carry on. It's just a case of I don't think that I don't feel confident in my own ability with the deathmatch stuff to get it to a standard of, like, all the guys in that Bleeding Gums locker room, like, whether you're a deathmatch fan or not, you need to respect that they've all worked incredibly hard to get the deathmatch scene to a level that it hasn't been at since I've started training. So I don't want to come in, piggyback off the work that they guys have done, and then not be able to hold up my side of the bargain in terms of making it or keeping that standard high. Um, I enjoyed that match. I think the match was quite good. It was a what do you call it? It was a gauntlet match. So Lou and I weren't in for a massive amount of time. I think, if memory serves, I think we beat Legends Never Die, and then the next team put us out. And the sort of main story of the match was the two other teams coming and having that sort of big blow off as the final two. Um, so we knew we weren't the sort of main characters in the story, if you will, but I did enjoy it. It was a good experience. I think for Legends Never Die, they obviously they train with Lou, so I think it meant a lot for him to sort of help his guys out in a sort of new venture and sort of keep them safe and all that carry on. But no, I remember it as being good fun. Like I said, I just don't personally feel as if, I don't think there's anything wrong with the match, but I just don't feel as if I feel as if there's a lot of guys in Scotland that can do that style better than me. So one, I don't want to be a guy that comes in, like I said, piggyback off someone else's work and take a platform there. And then also selfishly, um, you never know who's watching your matches. You never know how many matches you have left. I want to put myself in a position where all the matches I have, I can get to a standard that if someone was watching it, I'm happy with you seeing that one. That's the best of Krieger, if you will. And I don't feel as I've put myself in a deathmatch setting is going to do that for me, just because I don't think I can get my performance to a standard that I would be happy with in that setting.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable. There's a couple more people that I just want to touch on over here before we do quickly also touch on your career in Canada now as well. So one being Chris Renfrew. What was it like having a legend in the business like Chris, going up against a legend in the business like Chris Renfrew?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So Renfrew's a guy who Renfrew's a guy, if memory serves, I don't think I had really wrestled a lot in his sort of earlier, or sort of my earlier career, sorry. I remember when Lou and I first got to ICW, whether this was intentional or not, we very much got the impression that it was Renfrew that seemed to be taking more to do with our creative, if you will, or it was always Renfrew that, to Lou and I, he was the voice of the office. It would be Renfrew that would come up and tell us what was going on that night, what was happening, blah blah blah. So to then have the match with him was good because for years, obviously, he was this sort of a good few levels above us. Do you know what I mean? He had legendary matches with Grado and stuff. Do you know what I mean? He's like an icon of Scottish wrestling. He was in NAK. So much that you can say about Renfrew. Like, we're all Scottish wrestling fans. We know what where his place is in Scottish wrestling history. So the match was good. Again, as I said about Drew, the matches come with an additional challenge of Renfrew can do anything, and there's going to be half of the fans that are still going to cheer for him. So you have that additional challenge of, right, no one's asking him, nor should we ask him to change what he's doing. So how do I make sure that the half of the fans that are going to be cheering me, how do I make sure that they're going to be as behind me as possible? But as I've said previously, I quite like the type of challenges. Something to get you out of your comfort zone, something to to really sort of sink your teeth into. And yeah, the matches were good fun.
You won a title at SWE that wasn't on case, but I didn't know if I said it at the start. It was your first time in SWE and your only time in SWE, with moving to Canada. You won your title against Hugo Harrison, the Jackal. But how did that feel for you coming into SWE, winning your first title, but then also you've then moved to Canada? So what was it like what was it like for you coming into SWE? Because you've never been before, but also I know you've went up against Hugo Harris a few times, but what was it like going up against like Hugo and the Jackal?
So SWE was a nice one for me personally because different management, but I tried to get in SWE for years. I tried to get in for years and years and years, and like I, I have no issue if a promoter doesn't want to use me. I have no issue if a promoter feels that someone else is better for a sport or whatever. That's fine. That's wrestling. Do you know what I mean? Like you do what you think is best for you. I have no issue with that. Um, I just personally felt as if it was routinely bullshit reasons I was given by previous management, which fine. Um, so then to actually get talking to Jay. Jay was a guy that I got to know quite well. Um, I've got a lot of time for Jay. I like Jay. I got to know him when he started doing more of Mike's W3L shows. Um, really nice guy, for a good laugh with backstage. So he told me that he was now running it. He wanted to bring TJ and I in. TJ may have already been there actually, but he wanted to bring me in with TJ. Of course, I wanted to do it. One, obviously, teaming with TJ is something I'm never going to say no to either. Then to manage to get that, I don't mean checked off as if that's me done it, I don't care about it anymore, but to be able to sort of get a goal in Scotland that I didn't think I was going to get anymore right before I left was really nice. Also to get it with we were against Jay, who I became very friendly with, against Hugo, who I can't say enough good things about Hugo. And then to be teaming with TJ, who trained me. I wasn't expecting to win the titles. There was part of me that thought, fuck, have I forgot to tell him that I'm leaving? But no, so I didn't expect that. So that was the sort of icing on the cake. But no, that was a really good one, and that one meant a bit more than you might expect. As I said, because that was something I'd been chasing for so long, and then to finally get it, it was really nice.
Yeah, I think like I personally wasn't expecting you to win the titles that night either. I knew that you were moving. I didn't know. I don't think I knew at that point when you were moving. I knew that you were obviously moving to Canada, and I'm sure it was that night I found out that it was the January end of January you were leaving.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
this is like the start of December. Um, so I was like, right, I don't see them. I said that to like my partner. I said, I'm sure I said to Hannah that I don't see TJ and Krieger winning the titles at SWE just with obviously you moving away, but also as I know TJ had been in before, but usually on sometimes on a debut you don't win your first match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the way that Endeavour at that point was going, it was hard to see who was going to beat them for the titles.
Mm-hmm.
So when you actually won the titles that night, I think I was in pure shock. I think I sat there for a good 5 seconds before it even cheered. Because like, wait, did that just happen? And then I cheered, and it was obviously I spoke to you after it, and it was good to see that you were winning it, and then obviously
Yeah,
you reappears with the titles and told people that obviously you've moved away and stuff like that.
yeah.
But no, what it was good to. I'm glad to be there for it that night to see you win that title, especially
Mm.
with you now saying how much it meant to you.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm so glad I was there to witness it. The next person is Mark Monroe.
yeah. So he's a young guy that I've known for years as well, mainly because obviously I'm good friends with Dean. He's Dean's younger brother. Known him for years. Quite a he's a young guy that seems to be he seems to have really taken a bit of a again apologies for the language, but I think he's actually finally got a little bit of a kind of boot up the balls and actually because he's no one's ever really doubted his talent. Um, now I'm not suggesting for a minute as much as sometimes I'll make jokes online, but he was competing with it's so hard to get on shows as we've already said nowadays. Now more than ever, you're not going to get a spot on a show just because you're a good wrestler, because almost everyone on shows is good wrestlers, or almost everyone on show can do at least one thing where you'll go, if you're watching it in the crowd, you'll go, oh, that was quite cool. So you really need something to stand out. Now that can either be like it can either be incredible charisma, it can be a really good character, it could be whatever. And for years, Mark was getting told, look, the only real thing you're missing just now is like you can't help that you look young, right? Eventually, you're just going to start to look a bit older. But while you look as young, you need to get a bit bigger. You need to put on a wee bit of size so that it doesn't just look as if we've rolled out a really tall young guy. And it looks as if he is starting to do that because the sort of guys his age he's competing with, even just in the training school he's at, you're competing with guys like Sam Taylor, who is a young guy who can do a lot of cool stuff as well, but he's in tremendous shape as well. So like if that's what you're competing with, you kind of need to just put in the work yourself. And he seems as if he is doing that. So he had sent me yesterday, I think he sent me a match that he'd had at the weekend with Daz Black to have a look at. And obviously Daz is Daz, do you know what I mean? But I think we're all surprised every day we wake up and we don't see that Daz is signed. But he didn't look out of place at all in the match. It looks as if he's put on a bit of size. So and he was a very young guy. This sounds as if I'm burying him. I'm not, because I'm not saying anything I've not said to him. As soon as his work rate caught up with his ability, which it looks as if it now has, then he's going to take off because the ability's never been in question.
No, I agree with you. Mark's doing so well. Like, again, like I said earlier, someone that I've gotten close to a class as a friend will speak quite a lot over like Facebook Messenger, stuff like that. We'll speak at shows. We always have a laugh at shows. It was like the last show he was on for SWE. Me and Tony were at Bleeding Gums that day. It was the same day, so like, oh, we're not going to make SWE. So the Bleeding Gums had finished. We got back to Dundee because it was in Perth, and we're like, no, we'll go down. We'll see what's left. And we got for the last two matches. So we got in, and the second last match was Mark. And it's like he got in the ring, he came out, did his stuff, and he got in the ring, and he just looked up the back because we just went up to the back of the room and just sat at the back, so we weren't in anyone's way, so that. And he looked up the back, so I waved at him, and he just like looked, and it was like he just mouthed, "You've made it," because this was his first match back from injury as well. So he was like he mouthed, "Oh, you've made it," and even after he was like, I didn't expect to see you." I was like,
Yeah.
"Surprise!"
Yeah.
And like we always have the laugh as well. And like I love Mark to bits. Like he's such a genuine guy.
Yeah. No, absolutely is. He's a nice guy. He is I should clarify as well. He had his work rate was outstanding, and I mean like his work ethic was outstanding in terms of never really missed a training session, never really missed a session, being out flying or anything like that. The one thing he didn't really do was it just because he was young, which I guess we've all been like that. He just didn't really train outside of training that much. That was all that he was missing. So I just want to clarify. I'm not saying that he didn't work hard. He did work incredibly hard. There was just he just didn't. He just had to realise that the people he's, as much as they're friends, like, and I'm not trying to sound heartless, realistically we're all competing for spots with each other. The people that were his direct competition were they were clearly better than him at one aspect. And that was all. That was the only bit that he maybe had to work a bit harder at. But like I said, it looks as if he's doing that now. It's going to be a hard grind, obviously, because he is because he is so skinny. But it certainly looks as if he's filling out and stuff. And I mean, he's also got he's always been athletic. He's got the kickboxing background, so it's going to it will come for him. And you never know, it might be one of the things that it coming a little bit later for him. It might end up, he might look back on it as a blessing in disguise. That by the time he really starts to crack on at shows, he's going to crack on, and his actual bell to bell work rate is going to be 10 times better than it would have been had he debuted or really cracked on 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I do totally agree. A guy that I want to touch on before we do touch on about, well, obviously your last match in Scotland, but we've already talked about him in a sense as well. But it was your tag partner. It was someone that you've trained under, and that is TJ Rage. Like, just talk to us.
Yeah, TJ's like inside wrestling, outside wrestling. TJ's my best mate. TJ's the amount of stuff TJ's done for me, probably without knowing it, or maybe not even without knowing it, without even thinking, without even registering that is him actually doing something for you. He's the most genuine big guy you could meet. He's consistently pushed me throughout. Still to this day, if I get footage from a match in Canada, the first thing I'll do is send it to Big TJ and say, look, if you get a chance to watch it. And he's great for I've got a lot of guys that I could send footage to, and I know that regardless of what happened, I'm going to get back, oh, that was really good, that was this, that was that. Whereas Big TJ doesn't waste my time. I don't want him to tell me what's good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can tell in the match if something's good or something's not. I want you to nitpick. I want you to tell me what I need to do to improve. He's great for that stuff. I'll still talk to him at most every second day. Yeah, the big man's just. I kind of owe the whole thing to him. He's stuck with me. He's pushed me more than he realises. Both in the ring and out the ring, the guy's just. You couldn't ask for a better friend than the big man.
Class. And you've just seen how much you two connected in the ring as well. Whether you were against each other or when you were tagging, you knew where each other was, you knew what each other was going to do. Like, you made it so flawless in the stuff you were doing.
Thank you.
So we're going to touch on your last match in Scotland. Obviously it came with ICW. Now, was there a reason for it being ICW, being your last match in Scotland?
Not necessarily. I think that. So I had kind of pitched an idea to ICW, where I think there's been a lot of guys that have went out their way to help me at different points in my career, whether it's been intentional or not. I kind of wanted as much equity as I had with the ICW fans. Wanted to try my best to use that to benefit the promotion, in the small way that it could. So I had asked about Colton. I said, like, what if we done something here, maybe? And I think genuinely, I think it was one of the ones where as I had sort of said it, Scott Reed also had the same idea. So I'm not taking credit for the idea. I think we were just both on the same wavelength, and we'd wanted that. But obviously, we already had plans in place for Fear and Loathing. So the only time we really could do it was that show in January. And then just logistically, like there's not a lot of shows that run in January. So if we were going to do this, then it had to be the January show, and then that also sort of meant that it ended up my last one, which I think ended up quite good as well because it maybe added a little bit because not only sort of storyline wise, not only did you take me out of ICW, is also you haven't seen me in Scotland since as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the next part of this question, the last part of this for Scotland stuff, in was there, did you pick to put Scotland over? Obviously, you mentioned it as him putting you out ICW, as him putting you out with Scotland, kind of thing, but was that your choice or was that kind of Scott Reed's idea?
So we kind of went back and forth in terms of my whole thing had always been like I don't think like it doesn't benefit anyone if I win that match. It doesn't benefit anyone because this isn't a dig at Colton whatsoever. It's not a dig at ISW. It's not a dig at anyone. It's just a case of if I were to beat Colton or if I had beat Colton in that match, that's nowhere near a big enough result where if if I don't show up to ISW again for a year or 2 years, no one's going to remember what I've done if I won that match. Whereas there is potential. Now this is where I've no doubt at all that he will, but this is where it's now on Colton, where if Colton not only does he beat me, one of the things that this is the only bit that we possibly went back and forth on slightly. We had slight, I wouldn't say disagreement, but I was keen for him to really make a statement. Like if it's in my head, if it's a 50-50 match and he beats me, it doesn't do that much for him in the grand scheme of things because they've seen me get beat a lot. Whereas like if he really, what they haven't really seen is someone just fucking destroy me. They've not really seen that. So if that happens, that then hopefully sets him up for a good run, which it looks if it has. He's now involved with the world. He's in a team with Kenny. He's got Rudo with him. If he goes on this big run, which it looks as if he is, and he's certainly more than capable of doing, then potentially, I'm not saying for a minute, I'm not arrogant enough to suggest that the fans show up to ISW and think about Krieger every 5 minutes. But if he goes on this big strong run, when eventually I do come back, the fans that have still been around are going to go. They're then going to remember, oh yeah, it was him that got rid of Krieger, and then we have something there. That would be my plan. Obviously, things change, but to be fair, it was always Scott Reed that I sort of dealt with more so than most in terms of the office side of things. But at the time, between Scott, Jester, and Thomas, all three of them helped a lot with that sort of final run. And then again the actual final match as well. A lot of how that went down as well. A lot of the credit kind of goes to Kenny as well. Kenny played quite a big role in that. Just in terms of obviously he knew the sort of next steps that Colton was going to go with him. So then he was invested in how that came off. So a bit of a team effort to be honest. But I think we've done our job because from the outside looking in, it looks as if Colton's had a good run and is having a good run. And obviously, as much as we've all sort of played a role in kickstarting that all the hard work is then his. Do you know what I mean? Like all the next steps are his, and it looks as if he's more than ran with it. So good for him.
Perfect. Like I said, like we miss you back here. I've had a comment come in that I do think's fitting for this time in the moment. It's from a guy, Cameron Miller. Hi guys, and we all wrestling fans miss you back home in Scotland. So it's not just us that's miss you. We've got the proof here that a lot of fans miss you, mate.
Mm.
So like, you alluded at the start you will be back at some point. You just don't know when.
Mhm.
But it just shows you are missed back here. You were you were an incredible step for people to watch. So you're doing amazing at what you're doing, mate.
No, I appreciate that. As I said, I miss the Scottish fans are the Scottish fans are just different. You get a different buzz from the Scottish fans. Um, so yeah, as much as it is very nice to hear, and it does generally mean a lot when fans say that they miss me back home. Just trust that however much you guys miss seeing me wrestle, I miss performing in front of you guys just as much.
Mhm. So quickly touch about your journey in Canada so far. Just before we do let you go and get on with the rest of your day. Um, you have been wrestling for what I can see two companies. Um, so we have Real Canadian Wrestling (RCW), and we also have Top Talent Wrestling (TTW). How
Mhm.
did it come about you getting in with these two companies in Canada?
So, real Canadian wrestling, a lot of the credit there, or a lot, goes to Tim Strange. So Tim is friends with the promoter of that show. They run a lot. I think they are the busiest promotion in Alberta. Like they run a massive amount of shows that tends to be averaging maybe around 6 or 7 a month. They run a lot of shows. Um, so Tim had sort of put me in contact with the promoter before I came over. Um, we got talking, and then thankfully he gave me an opportunity and sort of ran with that. The top talent one, top talent's ran by a wrestler called Harlan Abbott. He's appeared on AW Dark and all that sort of stuff as well. Um, so sort of twofold with top talent. I um, I wrestled him at one of the RCW shows. After the show, he'd asked me if I would be interested in doing his next show, which of course I was, because they probably run, or not probably, they certainly run the biggest shows in sort of Western Canada. Like they've ran shows in the past with, they've had Penta, they've had Kurt Angle, sort of you name it, they've had them. So one of the biggest promotions in Canada. Um, I initially got the in with them because I had wrestled Harlan, but then since then, that's where I'm training as well. So that was another massive benefit and another massive selling point for me coming over here. So back home, because my weekends were so busy, it was very difficult to get to training.
Mhm.
Whereas over here, I'm able to, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, I have training from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you've got the shows. Um, so a mixture with top talent, a case of that's my home promotion over here. I'm based there, I'm training there. And also, I had the opportunity to wrestle in the promoter on the show.
Perfect. Yeah. So not long to your training tonight.
I know, I know, I know.
Um,
So not too long. The weather's actually been terrible tonight. I'm hoping the rain stays off so that I don't have too terrible a walk to training. But that is what it is.
we'll get through this so you can get a wee bit of rest in before training. Um, you've won championships across in America and Canada. Um, you obviously the first one I've got here was the RCW International Tag Team title. When you won that, what was that like for you winning your first championship in Canada? Especially obviously you've not got like your friends and family there you can celebrate with, but obviously you've got your partner there. What was it like for you?
It was I would be lying if I said that one didn't feel that one felt more of a relief than anything else. Because it was such a risky move to come over. I'd got myself in a position that I'd been working my arse off for 10 years to get to in Scotland. And it was sort of, do you stick or do you twist? And I was fully aware that um, by the time I come back home, be it on holiday or be it to stay, then all the spots I had are going to be filled. Um, and I can live with that if I've came over here and it's been a success. Um, so I know a lot of people will try and tell you they don't care about championships, right? But for a promotion to give you a championship, it shows that they're a guy that they're invested in, that they trust you for stuff. So it's not as much that I'm not going to walk about the supermarket with the title on my shoulder, but it shows that you're doing something right at your work. So to get that and to get that recognition and that seal of approval from a promoter that's gave you so much work since you got here, was good. And then it also means as well, it's also something when you come back home, regardless of what happens between now and then, you can come back home and you've got something to sort of hang your hat on and say, no, it was a success.
Yeah. And it's good to see that you're getting the chance out there with the championships.
Mm.
So that's good to see that. One person that I've got two people that I want to touch on that you've wrestled in Canada. The first one being I've seen him live. I've had my photo with him, and it's Eugene.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was great. That was such a strange day. So that was in a town called Drumheller, which is famous in Canada. I didn't know this. Maybe you're more well versed than me, right? But apparently, this area is the place where they have found the most dinosaur fossils. So the whole town is dinosaur themed. So like all the shops have dinosaur themes. The sort of main street has a humongous dinosaur statue. So it's it's a nice little town, but such a strange wee town as well. It's just so strange. And then we got there, and then yeah, sure enough, we were wrestling Eugene. Which you've seen Eugene live. Do you know what I mean? Or even if you've not seen Eugene live, you've seen Eugene on the TV. Like, I don't think I need to explain why that was a fun match. So yeah, again, yeah, that was really good. And it was such a not that I think I ever do change the effort that I give in front of smaller crowds, but to see someone like if there was ever someone that could have done that, it was a guy that had been as high as he's been, that was now on a show like this, where it was a good crowd, but for him in particular, it's a small crowd, and he still gave as much effort as he would give on a much larger show. So no, that was a really good fun match.
Nah, I'm glad. I seen him at W3L, funnily enough, where he went up against
Oh
Lukenstein and beat
yeah,
him.
oh yeah,
Again, such a funny match.
yeah. I can
I
imagine
think
the rate
I
too.
think for him it's just more entertaining the crowd than anything else.
Oh, absolutely,
He's
absolutely.
so funny.
Yeah,
Another person you went up against. Now I'm interested to hear this one. Not that I'm not interested to hear the other ones, but this is someone that when I actually seen when you put it up on like your socials that it was happening, I was like, oh, that's a really good one. Ultimo Guerrero.
that was. I would say that was the biggest match I've had. Like probably my whole career. Like I would put that one like selfishly or not selfishly, but like personally, obviously fucking Barrowlands or the Hydro or that are massive for me personally. But for my career, the Ultimo Guerrero match is the biggest match I've had. because, and also it was one of the ones where that was the one that really showed me that I had made the right choice in coming over. Because you're wrestling, like, in wrestling we're really bad for throwing around the word legend, but if there's anyone that it undoubtedly applies to, it's Ultimo Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very stressful day because there was no one's fault. Just he had issues with his flight, so he got in quite late, which couldn't be helped. He got in quite late. Ultimo speaks very little English. I speak even less Spanish. um, there's a wrestler on all the shows. A really good wrestler. He wrestles as Gabriel Lestat. He's
Mm-hmm.
bilingual, so he was in essentially a sort of Money in the Bank style ladder match, like 2 matches before us on the card.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he still was the go between me and Ultimo to help us translate and put the match together. So, but yeah, that I love that match. It went as well as I think it could have went. It was really like a really good experience. Um, yeah, and that's one of the ones that, regardless of what happens between now and the end of this visa, um, that's something that I can always look back on and say that was the reason why I moved over for matches like that.
It's such a class thing to hear. As soon as I seen you announce it, I was like, "Oh, that'll be a good match." Now, for that match, is it anywhere on like the internet that people can go and watch it?
So Top Talent, they do film their shows. I don't believe that show is up online yet. Um, as soon as it does go online, I'll plug it on my socials and stuff. So you will be able to see it. I don't know the sort of turnaround on that and anything, so apologies. I can't really give you a time frame on that. But as soon as I have it, I'll be I'll be spamming it online. So
Good. It's something that I really want to watch, and see the match. And so I'll be as soon as I see that, I'll be looking at it. Now just the last thing for Canada before well, I've got two things. Um, a week and a half ago, you got to win the Canadian heavyweight title. What was it like for you to win that title for that? Obviously, you've already alluded that it means the promotion trust you and they put like and all that, but for the heavyweight title in such a short time across there as well, what did that mean?
yeah. So it's always nice and it always means a lot um, to win one of the main titles in a promotion. Um, so throughout my career, probably the majority of my success has been in a tag team. So winning the tag team titles is lovely. However, in my last few years in Scotland, be it W3L, main event, Pro Wrestling Scotland. Apologies, I might be forgetting some, but I had really worked my way up in some promotions to be able to be viewed as one of the main guys to be
Mhm.
trusted with big singles titles. Um, so to walk away from that was a risk, as I've said a few times. Coming over here winning the tag titles, that's a bit of trust. It shows that you're on the right lines, but I would be lying if I said you still don't have that slight doubt of have I moved over here to then go back to being a tag team guy.
Mhm.
Um, and then so to win the singles titles to show that they also have that trust and they view you the same way that you view yourself as well as a big one. I didn't know I was winning it until the night, so it was a nice surprise. Match went really well. Crowd was very loud, so no complaints on my end.
And that's good, and it's good to see that you're getting the trust out there, especially in a short period of
Mm.
time. Um, we always knew you were going to win championships. But it's good to see that some people have to wait a certain amount of time, but it's good to see it's come quite quick for yourself. No, the last thing I want to touch on, we did touch on before we kind of came online, I seen it posted 3 days ago, and it was on your Instagram, and it's you at a baseball match with River the mascot.
So the local baseball team is the Edmonton Riverhawks. So they seem to have a very good working relationship with Top Talent Wrestling. So a few months ago we done a so they always have themed nights at the baseball, so it's maybe like, I don't know, ABBA night or whatever. And there was one night where they had wrestling. And after the show, the ring got put out on sort of home plate, and we done a wrestling show. Now throughout the day, there was we had to film all these things in between innings where we're arguing in crowds, we're doing all these funny little skits or whatever. And on that show, River had got involved in the main event to cost the champion a match. And then this event had came about where we were invited there. While we were invited there, they had decided that they wanted a peace treaty to be signed between myself and River. And then throughout this peace treaty, they decided that one of the stipulations had to be that River would now be the champion. Me being the obviously I'm all about sport and integrity, so I didn't think that it was fair if River became the champion, because River's never beat anyone. River took exception to that, and one thing led to another, and it led to this mascot jumping off a ladder and putting me through a table. So yeah, it wasn't my finest hour. But yeah, I was ruthlessly attacked by a Riverhawk mascot.
I am not going to lie, but it's probably one of the funniest things I've seen recently. And I was watching, I was like, this is so weird and stupid, but funny. Just with
Yeah,
the mascot up against the wrestler, putting you through the table, and I'm like, shouldn't that be the opposite way around, really? But yeah,
no, well, it turns out River knows how to throw down. It was unexpected, but yeah, sort of taught me a lesson.
on the plus side, you've still got your title.
Well, this is true. This is true because it was an unsanctioned match, which is good. I didn't actually sign the contract, so it's not legally binding, which is good.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. So that's all the main questions going through your career for tonight. Aaron, have you got anything you want to add?
It's been good to actually be able to just listen to stories about how you're doing so well over in Canada compared to what we've seen up here, and the fact that you're only going to get bigger and better, then you'll eventually turn home and we'll see you again and be better even here again.
Thank you, mate.
Not a problem.
I totally agree with Aaron. It's been great for the stories, and it's been good to have you on again. Can't wait to see you back home. I'm going to finish with one question. Okay. No, it's a question that I've started ending the shows with for question wise. And I think it fits really well. I'm not going to lie, I stole it from Chris Van Vliet's episodes. And that is three things you're grateful for right now.
So grateful for all the opportunities that I still continue to get. Grateful for probably grateful for my health, my family's health, everything like that, and obviously grateful as well for as silly as it might sound, I'm grateful for the kind of the sort of luck that I've had that has allowed me to sort of chase this mad dream for as long as I have been.
Perfect, mate. Leaving it to you to finish tonight. Tell people where they can find you on social media, and if you've got it. Right, I know obviously the UK fans won't be able to come and see you, but it shows that you have come up that you know of.
So on social media, all social media platforms, it's at Krieger UK. If I'm being honest, only really tends to be Instagram that I'm that active on. But all social media is the same. The next big stop for myself is August 22nd, Midway Music Hall in Edmonton. I'm going up against Mo Jabari and Mark Wheeler for the Top Talent Wrestling King of Triple Threats Championship. So that's the next big step for myself. That's the next big one to keep an eye on. Hopefully be adding some more gold to the cabinet and representing Scotland a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I keep up to date with your social media. I follow I'm looking at what you're doing. I'm looking at how you're getting on, and keep up to date that. So thank you so much for coming on, Krieger. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you for giving up 2 hours of your afternoon with me and Aaron. You
No,
could have been doing so much more interesting stuff.
no.
um,
No, thank you for having me. Same as last time. It's always good fun, good chat. 2 hours flew by there, so
yeah,
thank you for a good laugh.
but yeah, thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you as always for being my trusty co-host. Um,
But
you will see Aaron Saturday morning, potentially.
11 a.m.
Is it happening?
You might have to go to work though. That's what. Yeah, I will speak to you. That's what I was going
Right, we'll
away to
speak about
speak
this
to you
later then.
after.
Um, yeah, we'll speak about that later. We will be back doing podcast on Tuesday next week.
Okay.
It's now going to be switching up Tuesday 1 week, Wednesday 1 week. So it'll be Tuesday next week. You'll have to wait and see who the guest is. Because, as I said last week, I'm not giving out any spoilers anymore. So
Nice.
you'll have to wait and see. But yes, thank you as always, guys, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Guys, you might see Aaron on Saturday. You'll see us next Tuesday. Enjoy the last bit of your evening if you're doing anything. That's 10:30 at night here. Enjoy the rest of your week. And thank you as always. Peace.